So let's get back. Thank you, Ritvik. So in the Kurno model, the firm is going to assume that its competitors have a fixed output and make all their decisions according to that. Bang opposite of this is the Bertrand model, where firms are going to assume that their competitors fix their price and they're going to make decisions out of that. So for a moment, let's ignore the business aspect of it and understand कि यहाँ पे अगर Yippee ने assume किया कि Maggie is going to set 500 units, Yippee will decide its own output according to that. Similarly, अगर यहाँ पे Yippee ने decide किया that Maggie will price their 10 rupee packet at their 500 gram packet at rupee 10, Yippee will decide to maybe price it at rupee 8. If Maggie decides to increase the price to 12, Yippee may increase it to 10. ये सब assumption पे function करता है, सब कुछ ही assumption है. So let's just understand the theory. We don't have to apply it practically. In Kurno, the firms are assuming that their competitors keep their output fixed. In Bertrand, firms are assuming that competitors keep their price fixed. And in दोनों models का result यही होता है that both these firms operating under Kurno, firms operating under Bertrand, they all feel that they are in a Nash equilibrium. So Nash equilibrium is the situation where सबको लग रहा है that they are doing the best they can. हमने मतलब मैंने सारे फॉर्म्स को देख लिया, सबका मैंने मार्केट एनालिसिस कर लिया, उसके हिसाब से मैंने डिसीजन ले लिया. I've done everything I can. इसके आगे मैं कुछ नहीं कर सकती. That situation is what Nash equilibrium is, and every firm in an oligopoly essentially feels like they are in a Nash equilibrium. Whether they are or they aren't is not something that we have to concern ourselves with right now. Mostly तो they aren't. गधे जैसे assumption करेंगे तो you are not going to be in a Nash equilibrium. But sir को नहीं बोल सकते हम ये. So let's just go with that assumption. Just एक third छोटू model, which is very, very close to this, is called the Stackelberg model. Stackelberg model is also concerning with output. Here also, the assumption is that one firm decides output, and based on that, other firms decide output. But the difference between Stackelberg and Kurno here is, in the Kurno model, output of all the firms is decided simultaneously. So while Maggie is making its output decisions, Yippee is also making the decisions sub same time pe ho raha hai. So all the information comes out in the market at the same time. But in Stackelberg, there is one firm which goes first. ऐसा एक फर्म है जिसके पास फर्स्ट मूवर एडवांटेज है. दैट फर्म पहले ही बता देता है कि उनका आउटपुट क्या है और प्राइस क्या है, एंड बेस्ड ऑन दैट फर्म्स डिसीजंस एवरी अदर फर्म मेक्स अ डिसीजन. सो मोर ऑफन देन नॉट दिस फर्स्ट फर्म इज आइदर अ वेरी वेरी बिग फर्म और अ मार्केट लीडर और लाइक मेजर डिमांड जिस भी फर्म के साथ होता है, बिकॉज ओनली दोज फर्म्स कैन अफोर्ड टू मेक दीज डिसीजंस, और उस फर्म के हिसाब से ही बाकी सारे फर्म्स फंक्शन करते हैं. सो इन Stackelberg, one oligopoly firm will set its model set its output first, and based on that decision every other firm will follow. Kurno mein everything happens simultaneously. So Kurno, Bertrand and Stackelberg are the three models that we have, and I think when you go back and read the models now, it should hopefully it will make more sense. Okay, then is prisoner's dilemma, which is very fun. बहुत अच्छा concept है. I'll just draw this and then explain. Okay, so this thing which I've drawn is called a payoff matrix. The technical economic term for this is payoff matrix. It's nothing but only to understand कि हर एक firm के पास in an oligopoly there are two options that are there according to this matrix. Firm A can either go with confess or don't confess. Firm B can go with either confess or don't confess. इस case में confess है. Mostly the decisions are related to price and output. This is only to explain the concept of prisoner's dilemma. So each वो लोग जो भी decision लेते हैं, each decision में उनको एक certain payoff मिलता है, एक certain reward मिलता है. वो क्या है that we'll see. But the idea behind calling it payoff matrix is every decisions that they take, they have some sort of benefit from it. So they're trying to understand कि कौन सा decision लेंगे तो उनको maximum benefit मिलेगा. Now there are two prisoners here, literal like actual prisoners, A and B. Both of them have committed a crime. Both of them have been arrested, and both have been told that if you confess, sorry, one second. Both of them are being questioned and they both have to tell whatever they've done. What they don't know is that the cops have decided this. अगर एक ने confess किया, A ने confess किया और B ने confess नहीं किया, तो A will get a lighter sentence and B will get a heavier sentence. अगर same for B, if whoever confesses will get a lighter sentence, whoever doesn't confess will get a heavier sentence. अगर दोनों ने confess नहीं किया, so both of them will get a very, very light sentence. So let's look at the graph directly and understand. Look at the matrix. A is confessing, B is confessing. दोनों को 5 साल की जेल हो रही है. 5 years is what they're getting. If A doesn't confess, but B confesses. Sorry, मैंने क्या किया यहाँ पे? I'm very sorry. ये A और ये B है. I messed this up. So A is confessing, B is confessing. Both of them are getting 5 years of jail time because दोनों का result same है. Now, if A confesses, but B doesn't confess, according to the cops ka rule, A is getting only 1 year of jail time, but B is getting 10 whole years of jail time. Similarly, A doesn't confess, but B is confessing. B gets only 1 saal, but A is getting 10 years. But this, in the last one, दोनों ही confess नहीं करते. If both of them stay silent, both of them will get only 2 years each, which is the lowest possible term that they get. So, in interest, out of these 4 dabbas, what is the best possible outcome that both A and B can have? Both of them. I'm not saying individually. दोनों का outcome यही हो सकता है that they don't confess, they keep quiet, 2 साल की जेल खत्म करके निकल जाता है. But the problem here is that they don't know the condition that we know. कि एक ने किया तो दूसरे का, दूसरे ने किया तो एक का. They don't. So what will happen is they will both act in self-interest. When I say self-interest, खुद की जान बचा लेंगे, like they will confess on their own and they will not tell the other person basically. So if I'm they're both in separate cells, they're not together in the same jail. So if both Devrishi and I are arrested and both of us, if we keep quiet, sorry Devrishi, हम arrest नहीं होंगे, but just like take the example, if both of us keep quiet, हम दोनों को सिर्फ 2 साल की जेल होगी. But I don't know this, so I'll probably feel that I should confess. मैं खुद की जान बचा लेती हूँ, वो अपना देख लेगा. And similarly, he'll also feel like निवेदा अपना देख लेगी, मैं confess कर देता हूँ. So both of us will end up confessing, and we'll end up with 5 years of jail time, which is 3 years more than what we would have gotten if we'd shut our mouth. So because oligopoly firms do not have complete information about what the other person is doing, because oligopoly firms tend to act in self-interest rather than group interest, more often than not, इस market में perfect solutions नहीं आता. By perfect solution, I mean the least possible jail time in this case. This could have come if both of us had acted as a group, if both of us had acted, had information. दोनों नहीं थे, both of us ended up messing up. So in an oligopoly, sometimes firms tend to act in self-interest because they don't know what the other firm is doing, and ultimately market का जो भी best solution है, best price, maximum output, best strategy, they tend to miss out on that because of this kind of matrix. Everything can be put into this kind of matrix. You can put price here, you can put output here, जो भी डालना है डाल सकता है. But the idea is that the best possible outcome does not come because of the situation that I just explained. Yeah, man.
ये जो बॉक्स बनाई हो इसमें x और y का कौन सा है, मतलब a और b कौन सा बताना थोड़ा. 5 लिखा है तो 5
नहीं, ये जो ये वाला है ये a है, सॉरी फॉर द हॉरिबल डायग्राम, और ये b.
नहीं ये 5 - 5 है ना, या -110 है, तो a का कौन है, b का कौन है?
और फर्स्ट वाला a है. सो इन इस केस में दोनों को 5 मिल रहा है, यहाँ a को 1, b को 10 वैसा मिल रहा है. और सिमिलरली यहाँ पे a को 10, b को 1 वैसा. फर्स्ट वन इज a. ओके या गीतांशु.
So ये contradict नहीं कर रहा Nash equilibrium को.
हाँ, that's something. That's why others said no, गधे जैसे assumptions की है वो लोग ने. It's Nash equilibrium
नहीं होता oligopoly.
It's not a thing. No, it's not. On theory, they say Nash equilibrium, blah blah blah. But in reality, just think. No, it's not possible for any firm to know exactly what its competitors are going to do. Right? So in reality, it doesn't exist. We of course have to go with theory. तो हमें लिखना पड़ेगा.
So ये जो matrix है इसमें जो 2-2 वाला है, that would be Nash equilibrium. अगर मतलब
अगर होता, correct.
हाँ, अगर होता. Okay.
हाँ, अगर हम दोनों को पता होता and we end up getting 2, that would have been Nash equilibrium. ठीक है?
Perfect.
So is it that prisoner's dilemma is a more real concept and more और वो भी इमेजिनरी है मतलब
No. Prisoner's dilemma, game theory, they're all very, very real. They're actually used in businesses to make decisions. This final matrix that you can see here, ye 2-2, ye theoretical hai, because more often than not, people are not able to arrive at this situation. Yeah. One of these other three can definitely happen where one party benefits and all of that. Best solution mostly nahi aata.
Cool.
ठीक है? जाऊं बढ़ूं आगे?
हाँ जी.
दोस्तों, हाँ, ओके. तो इसका एक लास्ट कॉन्सेप्ट है, सॉरी सेकंड लास्ट कॉन्सेप्ट है ओलिगोपोली का, किंक्ड डिमांड कर्व मॉडल. सो अभी तक हमने जो भी डिमांड कर्व पढ़ा, वो डिमांड कर्व ऐसे या तो सीधा ऐसे था, या सीधा ऐसे था, या सीधा डाउनवर्ड स्लोपिंग था. देयर वाज नो लाइक डिमांड कर्व बीच में से ऐसे मूव नहीं कर रहा था. In an oligopoly, there is one special element where your demand curve is not fully straight. It comes down here up to this one point. Let's call this point as P. Or ye point pe there is a slight kink in it, and then the shape of the demand curve changes a bit and it goes like this. This is called the kink demand curve theory, and it's quite important because aisa sirf oligopoly mein hota hai. This particular point where the demand curve is sort of shifting or going down, this is the prevailing price level in the market. Okay, so I'm pulling this down. This is the prevailing price level. Going back to the noodle market, agar noodle market ka general average preferred price for a 500 gram packet is ₹10, so this becomes our prevailing price level. यहाँ पे 10 रुपए है. I am a noodle maker. I am functioning in this market. मेरे 2-3 competitors है. मुझे पता नहीं है मेरे competitors क्या करेंगे, but I have assumptions about what they're going to do based on the Kuno model or Burton model and all of that. Now, if I raise my price up from 10 to, let's say, ye point 12, what will happen is that none of the other firms in an oligopoly will follow me. Right? Because I am anyway, मैं market level से अपने price को बढ़ा रही हूँ. Why will a firm follow me? They'll think it's a stupid decision कि ये पागल और भी बढ़ा रही है अपना price. So if I increase the price, no firm will follow me in an oligopoly. But from 10, if I make the price 8 and I reduce the price, every single firm in the market will follow me. Because lower price, better advantage, and they don't want to lose out on that advantage. So अगर P को मैं increase करूँगी, तो nobody will follow me. Because it's a stupid decision. अगर मैं P को reduce करूँगी, तो everybody will follow. So both the situations are unproductive for the firm, right? मैं 12 पे जाऊँ या 8 पे जाऊँ, I'm going to suffer as a firm. So in an oligopoly, firms generally have a concept called price rigidity. Literally means they are rigid to change the price. बाकी markets में if you see, प्राइस आराम से ऊपर नीचे कैसे भी फ्लक्चुएट हो सकता था. जनरली प्राइस वैसे ही फ्लक्चुएट होता है. बट इन एन ऑलिगोपोली, प्राइस इज मोर रिजिड in the sense that firms are not completely okay with changing their price for this reason. Price बढ़ाया तो कोई follow नहीं करेगा, price घटाया तो सब लोग follow करेंगे. Which is why you don't see car prices changing every day, right? Unless there is a huge disruption in the automobile market. It's not like a Honda will cost 15 lakh today and सीधा 35 lakh tomorrow. That kind of change doesn't happen. Because the company knows if they change their price like this, who's going to go buy a Honda? So price rigidity is a very important concept, which is found again only in oligopoly. Like interdependence is only found here. Price rigidity is also only found here. And because of the price rigidity, that is why you have this kinked demand curve and everything. Okay, that is that. And then very last concept is that of cartels. Cartels bhi oligopoly mein hi hote hain. Now, okay, I'm coming back to a people example. Ritvik, Keyur, देवऋषि, महिमा and Gitanshi. यहाँ 5 लोग हैं. This is a very like literally what we do in every assignment and project. अगर हम सबके पास कल के लिए 5 pre-reads करने को है and we divide it by 1 each, isn't the final result better because we're all optimizing our efforts and everything. So what happens in a cartel is अगर ये 5 इंडिविजुअली फंक्शन करेंगे तो उनका मे बी आउटपुट होगा 60%, but agar साथ में as a unit if they function, their output could go up to 90% because there's more hands on deck wala simple basic logical concept. So firms also in an oligopoly, sometimes they might get into an agreement which is called a collusion in economic terms. They might get into a collusion to become or form a cartel so that they can all achieve more in the sense of the cartel. So agar individually एक firm बना रहा था only 40 rupees per unit, as a cartel the firm could possibly make 60 rupee per unit because multiple firms, multiple advantages and all. So whenever firms decide to collude and come together as one unit to function in the business environment so that all the firms can reap more advantages, that is called a situation like cartel. And cartels are usually very, very beneficial for smaller firms. तो बड़ा firm तो वैसे भी profit बना ही रहा है. But for a smaller firm to be associated with those bigger firms, it will give advantages to that firm basically. So cartels are generally more useful to this thing. OPEC, Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, is a cartel. OPEC ke pehle, all the oil was like a, how do I say, haphazard commodity. Middle East obviously had a monopoly over it, but no one was really controlling oil production and supply. So alag-alag kuch bhi ho raha tha. Sometimes people were making money, sometimes they were going into losses. वो सब changed after all these countries came together as a cartel in OPEC, because now OPEC regulates the price of oil. It regulates demand and supply. So there's a high sense of regulation which is there in a cartel, and this regulation brings in some sort of uniformity. और उस uniformity से लोगों को profit ज़्यादा मिलता है. So that is all we have to understand. Text में बहुत कुछ है. चाहिए तो to understand better you could possibly read it, but essentially you got the idea. ना साथ में आओ. That united we stand, divided we fall in like an economic concept. Again, it doesn't always work. Like I said, monopolies are not always desirable. Cartels are also not always desirable, because even within a cartel, one firm could take too much advantage of the other firm. Agar wo thoda bada firm hai, so it can actually exploit the other firm, saying that I'm doing this for your benefit, but ultimately uska khud ka hi benefit hai, uska benefit nahi hai. So cartels are not 100% foolproof, but it's an efficient way to get the market to function in a proper manner. ठीक है? This concludes oligopoly.
Anyway, but doesn't this go against the competition spirit that a particular economy or a market should have? Like, matlab, isn't it covered under anti-competitive laws?
No, it's not. No, because the firms are agreeing to come into this decision. ऐसा नहीं है that the government is forcing them. The
So
firm
all the
feels,
firms will come. For example, if you have
Yeah,
5 firms, ऐसा नहीं होता कि 3 firms form a cartel and 2 firms don't.
ऐसा हो सकता है, ऐसा कुछ नहीं. So in this 5 people example, if you don't want to be a part of pre-read sharing because you want to make your own notes, you function as an individual firm. ये चारों अपना cartel बना लेंगे. It's up to the firm to decide. If the firm feels that the firm's advantages will increase by being in a cartel, it will join. Otherwise, it won't join. That's it. And it doesn't go against competition because nobody else is forcing the firm. Firm खुद ही जा रहा है. So it doesn't go under that.
No, it would be unfair for me, if you four form a cartel and if I don't, तो वो मेरे लिए तो unfair हो गया ना. तो वो competition के against नहीं हो गया.
Then they'll say तू भी आ जा cartel में, तू क्यों नहीं आ रही है? Because
ठीक है.
I mean, businesses, that's how, na? They're like, you want advantages, you also come. Otherwise, don't complain. That will be their reasoning.
But what if we don't invite Gitanshi at all in the first place?
Then Gitanchi's business will die in a few days. In a few years, she will actually die. That's why I said, no, cartels are not fully foolproof. Mostly क्या होता है कि invite नहीं किया मतलब that firm is not an important part of the market. You don't consider Gitanchi is not on you. I'm just taking an example. You don't consider her as an important part of your pre-read cartel. So ऐसा usually नहीं होता है, but you are right in that sense. That individual firm is going to suffer. आगे जाके that firm will suffer, and there have been cases of cartels violating business laws. So अगर like Gitanshi said, 5 लोगों का market है, 4 लोगों ने cartel बना लिया और एक ने नहीं बनाया, the 5th firm is going to suffer ना, because बाकी सब literally उसके against pit कर रहे हैं. The government will step in at that time to regulate stuff then. So इतना नहीं होता because mostly all firms join cartels. If it's profitable to them, they will join cartels. But yeah. ठीक है. Anything else? यहाँ पे period cartel में hostile peeps would never be invited. मतलब eventually we're all going to be hostile peeps ना, मतलब eventually कोई pre-read ही नहीं करेगा मुझे लगता है, वैसे भी सबने बंद कर दिया है. Okay, cool. So this completes all the market structures. Do you guys want me to do information asymmetry and externalities briefly, or will you do it? Because both are generally easy chapter. So if you want to, I can quickly in 10 minutes cover those.
कर दे कवर कर दे.
कर दूं क्या?
हाँ कर दे. 10 minutes तो definitely.
Yeah, it's काफी.
ऋत्विक सोच रहा है इतनी मुश्किल से तो मैं अकेले हूँ रूम में, नहीं तो सब आ जाएंगे फिर से.
Okay, I'll quickly do externalities. ये आधा इको टाइप कॉन्सेप्ट ही नहीं है, ये जनरल जिंदगी का कॉन्सेप्ट है. So the idea behind externalities is any action taken by an individual, me, if I'm the individual in question, any action that I take not only impacts my own myself, it also impacts the people around me in a positive or in a negative way. So let's go back to the pre-read example only. अगर मैंने pre-read कर लिया ME का and I share the notes with section A, then the action of completing ME notes is mine. But the benefit of my action is received by section A because I've shared the notes with everybody. So in this case, an individual's action benefiting a community. The idea behind externalities is just that. It is the concept by which an individual's actions benefit the community or society in a positive or in a negative way. अब ये positive था because I'm sharing notes and everybody is benefiting from it. Let's say there is a group presentation in class and I was supposed to add 2 slides which I don't end up adding. Like I forget in the last minute and you all realize it only when we start presenting. So my action of not completing my work has negatively impacted my group because then there's a khali slide or whatever. So individual's action affecting the other person is basically what externality is. That effect could be positive or negative. If it's positive, of course you want to give it thoda incentive and make it go more. So if I'm completing ME notes, tum log meko bologe Nivedha, you are damn sweet and all, so that you want me to complete ME notes aake jaake. So you're incentivizing me in a positive way so that you benefit from my work. But if I don't complete those slides and the group gets yelled at for it, you say Nivedha tu pagal hai kya, tune kyun nahi kiya? You scold me basically. So that is how externalities work. अब इसके अंदर दोनों के अंदर प्रोडक्शन एक्सटर्नैलिटीज एंड कंजम्पशन एक्सटर्नैलिटीज दोनों में होता है. प्रोडक्शन, कंजम्पशन. Okay, so a lot of these ideas will be common. Consumption externality, consumption positive externality will be the notes example. I'm consuming those notes and I'm sharing it. So that's a consumption positive externality that I am creating. Production positive externality is, let's say a dam is built in a village. The dam is built by a single institution, entity, or organization only. But the benefits of those dam in terms of better water supply is going to be received by the entire village. So producing the dam in that place is going to benefit the entire village. That is a production positive externality. Similarly, negative consumption externality, my slide wala example. I did not do my work basically. मैंने नहीं किया वो, तुम लोग मेरे को डांटोगे, खत्म हो जाएगा, we'll get into trouble. That could be a negative consumption externality. Negative production could be something like an industry which is functioning in an area. It releases harmful gases, chemicals into the river beside it. So the industry's actions are ending up polluting a very large area beside that industry. So that is a negative production externality. So most actions which benefit a community can be classified as positive or negative. And those could be, I'm so sorry, one second. And each action को classify करके, if it's positive, you want to make it happen more and more. If it's negative, you want to find a way to stop it basically. So pollution is an externality, negative externality. Pollution is not caused, major pollution is caused by individuals, but it affects the community as a whole. ना ऐसा नहीं बोल सकते that I am affected by pollution, you're not. ऐसे नहीं होता, it affects everybody. So that is the idea behind externalities. ठीक है?
Niveda, a particular thing could be both positive as well as negative. No, for example, if I'm using a car, so it's a positive because it is giving me time utility, place utility, but it is at the same time creating pollution. So it is a negative externality as well.
It's negative, yes, but utility is coming only to you, no? How is it benefiting the community? If you do a carpool thing where you drop
Acha, oh
all of
yeah.
us, then it's
Hmm.
benefiting us, no? मतलब तू
But
individually
dams,
travel कर
जो
रही है.
dams हैं, that could be an example of both positive and negative.
In the sense that dams are also like obstructive to nature sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They
that you
lead to
can say.
displacement of people, no? If a dam is constructed, they lead to displacement of people.
Displacement of people. हाँ, that way मैंने वो direction में नहीं सोचा. I just thought कि पानी मिलता है वहाँ से तो फिर it's a positive externality. But yeah, more than a car, a dam could be a positive externality. For sure.
Perfect.
ठीक है? Okay. Done. जाऊँ information पे. Last. ये गीतांशी and I will share
निवेदा?
our deck. हाँ, बोलना.
तूने कंजम्पशन के लिए करा था क्या कवर अभी एग्जांपल?
Consumption positive या consumption negative?
दोनों का.
कंजम्पशन पॉजिटिव वही होगा. हाँ, मैंने जो पहले बोला था ना कि अगर मैं नोट्स कर लूं तो तुम सबको बेनिफिट होगा, तो वो पॉजिटिव कंजम्पशन है. और अगर मैं if I was supposed to work on something like consume this content and work on something and I don't do it, it will affect all of you in a group presentation basically.
ठीक है. Got it.
That was
Thank you.
negative. Yeah, no problem. Sorry, मुझे asymmetry की spelling नहीं आती. Information asymmetry बहुत बेसिक है. बहुत अच्छा इंटरेस्टिंग भी है, तो ये चैप्टर तो पढ़ ही लेना. There are two people in a business transaction, in any business transaction, in any economic transaction. One person, whoever that person is, always knows more than the other person. So right now, we can say that people at campus and people at home are in a relationship of info asymmetry, because people at campus generally know more about what FPC is doing or what happens on campus, ki TT kab khelte hai, blah, 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 which people at home don't know because of their limitation. So in transferring this to a business context, agar main jaun, if you all paid attention to our presentation, please say you did, we gave the example of second-hand cars. So when you go to buy a second-hand car, there is always some doubt about iski quality kya ho sakti hai, is it good, is it bad and all. The seller of the car is going to say that ye sab acha hi hai because he or she wants to advance the car. But is it fair to make an assumption that the seller knows more than us about the car? Right, because the seller is like usne hi chalaya hai, usi ka gaadi hai. The seller will always know more about the car than we do. So this means that the seller and me are in an information asymmetry. One of the two parties knows more. So even if the seller scams me, I will not find out till after I buy the car. If he says that this is a great car and it turns out to be a crappy car, मुझे transaction के time पे तो नहीं समझेगा ना, बाद में I will realize that. So who's at loss? The buyer. The person with the lesser information is at loss. So ideally, in an ideal market scenario, everybody should have perfect information. Seller, buyer, retailer, middleman, जितने भी लोग हैं, everyone should have perfect information. But ऐसा होता नहीं है. One person always knows more. In this case, the seller of the second-hand car knows more than the buyer. In the other case, campus people know more than the people at home. So this means the campus guys could have some sort of advantage. Now, अगर उन्हें पता चल गया कि, this is a very rudimentary example, if they find the paper kept on IT का कोई room, they'll just take it and they'll know more and all. I'm hoping they'll send it on the group to us also. But in case they don't, they will be at an information asymmetry then. These examples are very basic. I'm just taking it so that we understand. That happens, and because of that, market inefficiency cause हो जाता है, because खराब quality के goods आ जाते हैं, customers are dissatisfied, price goes up, cost goes up, all the masti that can happen in a market happens because one person has decided to lie to the other person who doesn't know what is happening. Then the second example that we have here is insurance. When you go to an insurance company, let's say I drive a car and I'm a horrible driver, मुझे बिल्कुल भी चलाना नहीं आता है, and that's why I want to go get insurance so that if I crash my car into a tree, I will get money basically. I go to the insurance company and I tell them that please give me insurance, मेरे को चाहिए and all, like मुझे गाड़ी के लिए insurance चाहिए. To the company, I am a driver of a car. They don't know if I'm good or bad, right? I will only tell them that I'm a good driver. They're not going to test me. They're not going to see, तो गाड़ी चला के दिखा या ऐसे 8 डाल के दिखा, अब फिर ही हम insurance देंगे. So in this case, I can very well lie to them, get insurance, and then reclaim the money when I will eventually make an accident happen, basically. So in this case, I am hiding the fact that I am a bad driver so that I can get insurance at a lower price and gain advantages. Agar maine unko bata diya that I'm a horrible driver, they would want to increase the price of their premium, no? Because they know कि मैं 100% कहीं पे जाके ठोकने वाली हूँ, so they will want to increase the price. Similarly, if you look at health insurance usually costs a lot more for older people because their advantage of the possibility of them falling ill is way greater than the possibility of one of us falling ill. So maybe we can find health insurance at 10,000 per month, but my granddad or grandmom will have to go and get it at 50,000 per month. So when this kind of information is not available, in the same example, I could have a terminal illness that I can hide from them and then say, please give me insurance at 10,000 because I'm 21 years old. Later, after I buy the insurance, I reveal that I'm sorry, I have a terminal illness. Then what will they do? They're going to lose out on money because I'm most definitely going to get affected. So in this information case or the car case, एक party information को छुपाता है, which harms the other party, and ultimately market में inefficiency हो जाता है. That is the whole idea of information asymmetry. There are concepts called adverse selection, market for lemons. All of this come under this only. इसमें अगर तुम एक बार quickly, if you skim through the text, you will be able to make sense because at least I found it well written, better written than the other chapters mainly. तो ये एक बार text पढ़ लेना तो it should be useful.
Or they can even use a PPT that like you have explained it very well.
PPT you can use, yeah. उसमें भी काफी examples and pictures and all you can use that. ठीक है, that concludes our portion. I have not covered pricing, one thing, but because मुझे खुद इतना ढंग से नहीं समझा, so I didn't want to confuse more people because I didn't understand. तो बाद में अगर मुझे समझ में आएगा, we'll definitely conduct उसके बाद. But I hope this made sense to everyone. Okay.
Yes, it did.
Lot of
Quick recording.
Recording. I'll put it on the Google Drive and सबको send कर दूंगा.
Thank you.
Thanks, Niveda. Thank you so much.
Okay, no problem.